Good afternoon and welcome to our special call council meeting. Gina.
Resolution is, we will allow citizens input. The citizens should give name and address for the record, give subject description, understand there will be no voting, 3 minutes maximum to speak, address the council, not the audience, no personal attacks, no religious comments, and no more than 3 times on the same subject. This is a notice is hereby given that a special call meeting of the mayor and council of the city of Lewisburg is held on Friday, August 14th, 2026 at 4:30 at the Lewisburg City Hall, 131 East Church Street, Lewisburg, Tennessee. The purpose of this special call meeting will be to consider and take such action as the council may deem necessary to the public interest related to the following items. So first, we'll have citizens' input, and the subject is on the consider approval of City of Lewisburg adopting the Jackson Law.
Okay, if anyone has some comments they need to make, please come to the podium and give your name and address, please. And while we have a 3-minute limit, we don't
Yeah, my
strictly
name's Larry
enforce that,
Applegate.
but we would ask that
What?
if the bell
Okay.
goes, that you try to
My name's
conclude
Larry
it in a
Applegate,
timely
and
way.
I actually live on 2112 Coble Meadows Drive. But I would ask that this council approve the Jackson Law because you need to negotiate a new host agreement with Cedar Ridge. They're here, and I don't know if you know it or not, but they're looking at closing Middle Point, and a lot of Middle Point's waste will be coming this way. So now's the time for Lewisburg to take advantage of that situation and be able to increase your host fees. It will be able to clean up your streets. You could ask for a wheel wash station at the landfill. You could double your, Middle Point has offered to double the dumping tipping fees at Middle Point to try to get theirs approved. So now's the time, and I know Lewisburg has been hurting for money for quite some time. Now's the time to make the adjustment to increase your revenue. You can add road tax, you can add things, you can keep them from coming through around the square. I see garbage trucks coming around the square. You can designate how they come into the city. There's a ton of things, and if the city manager would like to talk to me later on, I'd be more than happy to explain some of that stuff to him. That's it.
What was your last name, sir?
Applegate?
Applegate, thank you.
Anyone else?
It don't matter to me.
Oh, go ahead.
Peter Haley, Joyce Avenue, Lewisburg, Tennessee. I know we are not here to comment on the landfill expansion. We are here about the Jackson Law. The citizens of Lewisburg are directly impacted by its location, both environmentally and economically. In order to have a voice in the future of the landfill, the council needs to adopt the Jackson Law. Please vote yes, and I pray our fellow county elected district members also make informed decisions affecting our future generations. Thank you so much for the council for calling this meeting and for staff also attending. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name's Wilford Winslow. I live at 1216 Long Distance Road. I don't have to tell Billy, but I'll tell y'all, you need the Jackson Law. It was in place up until 2012. What in the world caused it to go away? I was sitting there when it went in place. Thank God to Quinn Brannon, Mrs. Shelton, Ronald McCready. I can't remember the other two, but they's the one done it right here in this room, 2008. Put it in place for a good reason. Why you'd ever want to get away from the table? No, when I got money involved, buddy, I'm gonna be playing the cards. I wanna be one turning the cards. I don't want nobody else turning the cards for me. But they did that. So all we gotta do now is rectify that. I guess the only question I got, in order to get rid of the Jackson Law, it says that you must have public hearings. Does anybody know, was there public hearings at that time? I was off the commission, I didn't have anything, I was working in Fayetteville. I mean, if you didn't have the public hearings, if you just had readings and things, is that what y'all call public hearings? Does that serve as public hearings? But it plainly states, to do away with the Jackson rule that you have adopted, that you must have public hearings. You may not have even done away with it in a legal process, I don't know. But you need it back. Anytime that you playing with somebody like Waste Management, boys, you think I don't know how they play? Ask Billy. They done everything in the world, old Spider. Didn't he? Didn't he?
Anybody else?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank y'all for allowing us to speak tonight, and thank you for holding this meeting. My name's Jana Augustine. I live at 2427 Verona Caney Road. And I get really nervous when I speak, so my mouth will get dry. You'll be able to tell. But I'm here tonight because I care deeply about Lewisburg and Marshall County. I was born and raised here. And I want the town and the county to grow, but I want it to grow responsibly, and I want it to benefit the people of the town and the county. Not just tomorrow, but 10, 20, 30 years from now. I'm asking you to please consider adopting the Jackson Law for the city of Lewisburg. To me, this really comes down to something very simple. Local decisions should have local input. When we're talking about something as significant as a landfill or an expansion or another facility that could come in and affect our town, our roads, our environment, our property values, and the quality of life the people here live, our local government and our citizens deserve a meaningful voice in that process. The fact that the Jackson Law was taken away is mind-blowing. We are the people that live here, and our government should be able to fight for us. And that's what the Jackson Law is for. We drive these roads, we raise our children here. I have 2 children. My son's a high school football player, and he told me the other day he could actually smell the landfill from his football field. And that's just awful. We drink the water. There's no telling what's in that water. We breathe the air, we own homes, and we're the ones who will live the long-term consequences of decisions that are made today if the Jackson Law is not adopted. Adopting it gives Lewisburg another tool to protect that local voice and to make sure that these decisions receive the scrutiny they deserve, because right now the host agreement that is in place in another area is sad. And I want to make something very clear. Asking for stronger local oversight does not mean that Lewisburg is against business or against growth, but growth should be responsible. We shouldn't be afraid to ask questions. What is the long-term impact on our community of these decisions? What does it mean for our infrastructure? What protections are in place for the people that live nearby? And most importantly, is this truly a good deal for the citizens that we represent? Does it make us the money that we deserve, that we can use to fund our city? And you can fight and you can negotiate whatever you want when you have this law. It's not just taking the first option and being like, okay, I'll take a penny, you go do what you want. You can actually put your input into it, and you can make the people's voice heard with the Jackson Law. And so I pray that y'all will consider and vote yes to adopt it back, because without it, there's no telling what damage will be done to our town. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, I'm Barbara Woods. I live at 902 Wedgewood. I guess I was mayor when the Jackson Law was rescinded, because I've been told it was in 2012. I remember at that time, we didn't have, we were paying tipping fees, we were doing our own garbage pickup and stuff, and I provided a sheet with information for each of you there. Is there any questions on that? Those were the things that were in place when we negotiated with the landfill. I'm certain that we had, if we were required to have public hearings, we had public hearings. We had them very often while I was mayor, just like you do now, 10 minutes before the meeting. And I thought this information, particularly the cost of tipping and stuff, is relevant, how you vote, what you want to do, but I thought you needed the information, because I feel like everybody thinks, well, we just sat down and did nothing to try to, and we just gave up the Jackson Law. And I remember we worked pretty hard to decide that we were willing to give it up for certain things that we would get as a benefit. Any questions on the things that are on the sheet of paper? Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody? Okay, Mr. Hutto, can we discuss it before we ask for a motion, or do we need to have a motion and a second and then discussion?
You can do it either way. You can certainly have a full discussion before you make a motion, but then once the motion is made and seconded, you can only talk about the motion.
Okay. So, do you want to, does the council want to talk about it now before we make any motions?
I think so.
Okay,
Billy, do you have anything to report to us?
Nothing concrete, but I do offer up some guidance. You know, I wish all 5 members of the council were here, because in matters like this, there's a 2/3 vote requirement, and in a body of 5, it changes the entire dynamic of a vote. So I would urge the council to consider that before you proceed with a motion, and recognize that you are short 20% of your body tonight. But with that said, I don't, I think the Jackson Law consideration, you have a little bit of time left to consider it. And if you wanted to spend a little more time deliberating the aspects of the Jackson Law where you understood the law completely, if you don't already, and to discuss with the people that filed, the Waste Management that filed the request for an application, I don't think that would be out of order either. You've had, you know, we just mentioned this Tuesday night. I just learned of it Monday night, notified you all Tuesday night, and I've been doing a lot of homework since, as I'm sure you have. And every time I learn something, I figure out that there's more to learn. But what I have learned, and taken away from what you all mentioned Tuesday night, and I think it may have been you that mentioned Tuesday night, that you would like to have a seat at the table or something to that effect. And I can report to you, you have established that already, because I did get reached out to from the company wanting to expand the operation, and with regard to Cell 9. And so you've got a seat at the table now. If you want to exercise that time to find out what that seat will produce before you vote, that's another opportunity that you have. But the options are all yours.
anybody else?
Do we know how much money that the city may have lost by not enacting this in 212 or whatever? Does anybody, does anybody even have a revenue projections? And may not right now.
If that's available, I haven't discovered it yet, and it become difficult because there was never an agreement. And I did speak with Waste Management today. They don't have an agreement on file. We don't have an agreement on file, which means, I guess, either party could terminate whatever exists now at their leisure, which is a little alarming, honestly. But at a minimum, I think if we're going to be in an agreement, there needs to be one established. So and there again, all these things are tasks at hand, right? And you may want to understand all those things before you vote on the Jackson Law, but I don't know. But to specifically answer your question, no, there's no way that I can think of that we could calculate that.
Billy, we're not on a time constraint in any way, are we? With
Um,
enacting this, or do we have a time frame we have to deal with?
This is available to the council at any time you choose. It could have been in 2015, it could be in 2035, you know, it's always at your disposal. I have found two things that would close the window for this council to be able to opt into the Jackson Law and weigh in to Cell 9, which is the application that's submitted. And those two things are, if the company submits the application to TDEC and TDEC issues a tentative approval, when those two things take place, you can still opt into the Jackson Law. It just won't apply to Lewisburg regarding Cell 9. Does that make sense? I know that's a lot, but
Define cell,
That's the current expansion.
yes.
the cell, is that 10 acres, 90 acres, or?
It's
What's
not-
on the application they submitted to the county was a 90-acre tract.
Which is, they are calling cell,
Yes,
Nine.
Nine, Cell 9, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I should have been clearer.
So what you're saying is that we have, until TDEC gives its preliminary approval of Cell 9, we've got all the way up to that point to be able to consider the Jackson Law, vote for it, and have it be effective for Cell 9.
That's my understanding. Now, Mr. Hutto may,
Wouldn't you think we'd need to do it before they submit their report to approval? Because we'd want to be part of that possibly.
if you want to weigh in on this one, now the submittal, and there are other caveats here, and I was hoping not to get this far into the weeds, but bear with me. It's easy to understand, difficult to articulate. After they submit the application, or in order to submit their application to TDEC, they have to have complied with all Jackson Law provisions that have been opted into. Right now, that's only the county.
Okay.
They can submit an application if the county approves it, based on the county's approval of Jackson Law, because they're the only ones that are opted in right now. However, even if they file that application, if the county approves it, even if they file that application, the city can still opt in at that point until TDEC issues a tentative approval. I don't know how long that process takes. I know the overall approval can take years. You know, we're not talking about anything that's going to happen overnight. But the tentative approval, I don't know what that entails. That might be a week, it might be a year. I just don't know. Maybe a day. I don't know. But if there's a window there, you still have that window to opt in. And it would cease TDEC's deliberations on the matter until that Jackson Law, if you opted in that period, they would still have to come back to Lewisburg. And I invite everybody to double check everything that I'm saying, because you're talking to somebody that's definitely no expert. Mr. Hutto, please weigh in if I've said anything that's inaccurate.
No, that sounds correct, and until they have that first preliminary approval, I guess, you know, it's kind of like I think maybe an approval to proceed with the permitting process. It doesn't necessarily guarantee final approval. It's, you know, it's kind of like a planning, something submitted to the planning department. If you change your zoning after somebody's filed a submittal, they get the old zoning. If we don't have the Jackson Law in place whenever that initial application approval is made, and the hard part is we don't know when they're going to submit it, and we don't know how long that approval will take. So I don't think it hurts the city to have be on, have the Jackson law in place regardless, because we certainly don't want to come in Monday morning, find out TDEC's approved it and had decided to wait. And I don't think that will happen, but it could be 3 weeks from now, it could be 3 days from now, it could be 3 months from now. So
Do we know what it generally takes?
I do not, and they may, they may base their next steps off whatever happens at the county's public meeting next week, as to whether they proceed or don't proceed. And if they don't proceed, they don't proceed. If they do proceed, we get, closer to whatever that window to approve the Jackson law is closing.
They take a pretty good while to approve a water permit, I can attest to.
5
I
years.
can't imagine that the state does anything quickly. I mean, I'm just saying.
I think that's a safe assumption, but it is an
I
assumption.
really have two issues here. One, we're missing a council member.
Absolutely.
And for those of you that don't know, he had a wreck this afternoon.
I'm sorry, thank you for,
So we have a council member not here, and I believe that council member should effectively represent the cities of Lewisburg. The other one I have, and I know I rushed Gina to have it today, is this is very highly controversial, and it's a huge issue for the city of Lewisburg. The 2 days that I've had, in my mind, being able to separate the fact and the fiction is not there for me yet. Every time you talk to somebody, you get a different story, you get a different opinion. I would like some time for Ronnie to be able to be here, Mr. Robertson, sorry, to be able to be here. I would like, if this council would let me, have a little bit more time to deliberate and separate the fact from the fiction. And I'm not there yet.
I
Those
think that
things
would
are
be,
not
I think
clear
that
for
would
me
benefit
yet.
us all.
I think it's prudent.
I
at this point.
believe in rights, and I believe in the voice at the table. But right now, I don't believe I know the difference between fact and fiction on this issue, as I currently feel. So,
Do you have a date in mind, Vicki, that you'd be comfortable
well,
with?
I want it to be, yeah. I'm like Gina now. She tried to talk me into waiting a little bit longer, and I rushed her to the table. But
that's okay.
yeah, so, I guess if we can look at our calendars, I'd like for it to be soon. I'd like for it to be in August, as soon.
There's another gavel.
It's a never-ending
Poor
job, Mayor.
Sounds like it.
I don't know.
Well,
Let's see, 2 weeks from now, well, we really don't want to have it on Friday. What about the 27th, the Thursday? What does that look like? That's,
I'm open.
Mr. Crutcher,
I'm good.
Tommy? Mr. Hutto,
I'm available the 27th.
I'm open to.
everybody?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. Were you
Well-
rushed to get here today?
Don't ask that question.
Since you're wearing
He had a
your
bad afternoon.
And I want to commit to the body too, to be able to come back with more facts of my own. I know I come back with more revelations and things that I've discovered, and I want to come back with something, to me, whatever our agreements are and have been, I think we can tidy those things up too. And I hope to bring something back to you that's concrete and in writing, if that's fair to say.
So you,
That would be
That was
nice.
gonna be my point.
That
I
would
mean,
be
this
nice,
handshake
yeah.
stuff is, it comes back to bite you in the, what's that
Every
nice
time.
way to say it?
I don't believe there is a nice way to
A
say it.
posterior.
Yeah.
And so we have to get rid of the handshakes.
so you think that's adequate time for you to gather facts? Billy?
Yes, sir. I think so. I've got
So-
a pretty good running start.
Vicki, what time of the day works for you that day?
Is 5 better? Is 5 better?
4:30's fine.
We can do 5.
Five's probably, yeah,
Is
five,
5 better?
yeah.
Then let's
five's
do
fine.
5.
Take
Yeah.
a break?
Yeah.
Let's do 5.
I'm gonna go ahead and put it in.
So do,
Mr. Hunt, do we defer?
do,
I would just adjourn this meeting.
Well, we never said we were going to have a vote. We said it was possible we would have a vote.
Right, so we could just adjourn this
Yeah.
meeting and have a second special called meeting.
Yeah, because it says consider approval. It doesn't say vote to
Right.
What we have four councilmen here, and I think they're in agreement, or the city manager and I can call for this
Yeah, that's
special call. That's not a problem, so.
Now, I have a question. Has anybody actually talked to Mr. Robertson? Is he gonna be well enough to walk in the door in the 27th?
He said that, I don't want to tell his business, but he said that bumps and scrapes were all he was suffering from right now. Now, he may wake up tomorrow morning and have a different outlook.
But, okay, so
And I-
that's
and I-
about 2 weeks from now?
I plan on checking on him after this
Okay.
meeting.
So the 27th at 5.
I'm good. Are you good?
So we have not made it a motion, so we
not.
have decided three, and Billy and I, there's more than enough consensus that we will meet on Thursday, the
27th
The 27th?
at 5 PM.
At 5? Okay. So we have settled that, so what Mr. Hutto was saying, that we just need to call for an adjournment. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I am surprised.
I thought you might be.
Yes, Councilwoman Thomas makes that motion. Is there a second?
I second.
And Shannon seconds that motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Wear out these guys.
We've got a couple more hits in this budget.
Yeah. Glad I do.
What I would like to do is if I can get those folks at the table, not to put you guys on the spot,